and Athos confessed to himself that he was unprepared for so prompt a departure, but Raoul was so happy that this reflection effaced everything else from the consideration of his guardian. Everything was ready at 10 o'clock for the departure, and as Athos was watching Raoul mount, a groom rode up from the Duchess de Chevreuse. He was charged to tell the Comte de la Fère that she had learned of the return of her youthful protégé, and also the manner he had conducted himself on the field, and she added that she should be very glad to offer him her congratulations. "Tell her Grace," replied Athos, "that the Viscount has just mounted his horse to proceeds to the Hôtel de Lines." Then, with renewed instructions to Grimaud, Athos signified to Raoul that he could set out, and ended by reflecting that it was perhaps better that Raoul should be away from Paris at that moment. Chapter XLII. Another queen in want of help. Athos had not failed to send early to Aramis, and had given his letter to Blaisois, the only serving man whom he had left. Blaisois found Bazin donning his beadle's gown, his services being required that day at Notre Dame. Athos had desired Blaisois to try to speak to Aramis himself. Blaisois, a tall, simple youth, who understood nothing but what he was expressly told, asked, therefore, for the Abbé d'Herblay, and in spite of Bazin's assurances that his master was not at home, he persisted in such a manner as to put Bazin into a passion. Blaisois, seeing Bazin in clerical guise, was a little discomposed at his denials, and wanted to pass at all risks, believing, too, that the man with whom he had to do was endowed with the virtues of his cloth, namely, patience and Christian charity. Bazin, still the servant of a musketeer, when once the blood mounted to his fat cheeks, seized a broomstick and began belabouring Blaisois, saying, "You have insulted the Church, my friend, you have insulted the Church. Sh, sh, sh." At this moment Aramis, roused by this unusual disturbance, cautiously opened the door of his room, and Blaisois, looking reproachfully at the Cerberus, drew the letter from his pocket and presented it to Aramis. "From the Comte de la Fère," said Aramis. "All right," and he retired into his room without even asking the cause of so much noise. Blaisois returned disconsolate. He related his adventure. "You foolish fellow," said Athos, laughing, "and you did not tell him that you came from me." "No, sir." At 10 o'clock Athos, with his habitual exactitude, was waiting on the Pont du Louvre, and was almost immediately joined by Lord de Winter. They waited 10 minutes, and then his lordship began to fear Aramis was not coming to join them. "Patience," said Athos, whose eyes were fixed in the direction of the Rue du Bac. "Patience, I see an ape cuffing a man." Then, bowing to a woman, "It must be Aramis." It was indeed Aramis. Having run against a young shopkeeper who was gaping at the crows, and who had splashed him, Aramis with one blow of his fist had distanced him 10 paces. At this moment one of his penitents passed, and as she was young and pretty, Aramis took off his cap to her with his most gracious smile. A most affectionate greeting, as one can well believe, took place between him and Lord de Winter. "Where are we going?" inquired Aramis. "Are we going to fight? Perchance I carry no sword this morning, and cannot return home to procure one." "No," said Lord de Winter, "we are going to pay a visit to Her Majesty the Queen of England." "Oh, very well," replied Aramis, then bending his face down to Athos's ear. "What is the object of this visit?" continued he. "Nay, I know not, some evidence required from us. Perhaps—" "May it not be about that cursed affair?" asked Aramis. "In which case I do not greatly care to go, for it will be to pocket a lecture, and since it is my function to give them to others, I am rather averse to receiving them myself." "If it were so," answered Athos, "we should not be taken there by Lord de Winter, for he would come in for his share, he was one of us." "You are right, yes. Let us go." On arriving at the Louvre, Lord de Winter entered first, indeed. There was but one porter there to receive them at the gate. It was impossible in daylight for the impoverished state of the habitation grudging Charity had conceded to an unfortunate queen to pass unnoticed by Athos, Aramis, and even the Englishman. Large rooms, completely stripped of furniture, bare walls upon which, here and there, shone the old gold mouldings which had resisted time and neglect, windows with broken panes impossible to close, no carpets, neither guards nor servants. This is what first met the eyes of Athos, to which he, touching his companion's elbow, directed his attention by his glances.